Right. Okay. Welcome back. And as we are on the wind down for 2024, leading to 2025, everybody likes to do their end of year best ofs. And I am no exception. And this year it was incredibly difficult to choose my top five. Um, so we're going to do the albums here first, and then in a couple days' time, you'll see the EPs drop as well. Um, so we'll start off with the honourable mentions for best albums of the year, or best album of the year. So the people that didn't make it in but deserve a shout out anyway: Bridge City Sinners in the Age of Doubt, Like Moths to Flames, The Cycles of Trying to Cope, Oceans, Living Chaos, uh, Thrones, Excessive Guilt, Eminem's The Death of Slim Shady, Graphic Nature's Who Are You When No One Is Watching, Powerwolf's Wake Up the Wicked, Flesh God Apocalypse Opera, not Okra, Bring Me the Horizon's Post Human Next Gen, Siamese's Elements, In Heart Wake's Incarnation, and The Last 10 Seconds of Life with No Name Graves. So, if that many made it into the honourable mentions list, that begs the question for you guys: what's in my top five? So, the top five was extremely hard to narrow down. I did have to fuck around with it for a couple of weeks. I had some of the honourable mentions in the top five, and they got moved out when I listened to certain other albums, and then I'd hear like one single off of one album, and I'd be like, but I think that could make this album better than that album, and there was a lot of tweaking and fine tuning this list. Obviously, people might not agree, but that's the beauty of music. You don't have to like each other's tastes. Obviously, this is just what I have enjoyed this year. So some of this might be similar to what you guys enjoy, some of this might not be. So we're going to start off at five and work our way up to one. So, in fifth place is somebody that is a regular mainstay on these best of album lists, frankly, and that is the one and only Fit for an Autopsy with the album The Nothing That Is. This dropped fairly late into the year, like I think October or November, and within that short time span, this has had probably at least 15 to 20 full listens through, not including like me just hearing the one song when my like music is on shuffle. There is not a single bad song on this album, honestly. Joe Badatello sounds phenomenal as always. The instrumentation from the rest of the band is on point and top tier. I genuinely am at the point where I don't think Fit for an Autopsy could make a bad song or album unless they tried really hard to make a bad song or album. That is the way it is. Like the last like what 3 or 4 albums have just been non-stop like bangers, and they're on an absolute fucking tear right now. So moving on from Fit for an Autopsy, we're going to move to number 4, which is Kublai Khan TX with their new album Exhibition of Power. This was a little shorter than I'd like, but with that being said, in the short runtime, the shorter songs, which is very regular for Kublai Khan, they have packed in a lot of aggression, heavy music, like instrumentation. They've just done a really good job with it. Everything sounds crisp, clean. The vocals are just what you would expect. They're insanely intense. Um, not like the same sort of intense you'd get from like a really really heavy band, but just like intense with like aggression sort of thing. Um, which is what Kubla Khan is just angry music. um, but I love it nonetheless. Um, so they've secured a spot. They were one of the ones that did keep like wittering with being on and not on the list. They at one point weren't on the list, and it was actually Last 10 Seconds of Life that had the number 4 spot. But then I listened to a couple other tracks off of this album again, and I was like, yeah, I mean, I've got to do it. Like, Last 10 Seconds of Life also was a really good album, but there's something about the Kubla Khan album that just was a little bit more enjoyable. I don't know what it is, but yeah. So moving on to track 3, we have Post Malone with F1 Trillion. Now, again, this is one of the ones that might not be everyone's cup of tea. This is Post Malone's country album, where he has a lot of features, especially on the deluxe album where there's a few more songs. It is what you'd expect from Post Malone. It's a lot of, songs about getting into trouble, relationship issues, drinking, smoking, partying, but with a country twang and with country artists featuring on it. It's like a rapper's homage to the country scene. I wasn't expecting much when Post Malone said he was going to drop a country album. I was a little surprised, if anything, and that then quickly turned into a pleasant surprise. Like, the only thing I have a problem with on this album was I didn't like the Dolly Parton feature. I just thought it was a bit out of place. I don't, maybe not out of place, but like, I've just never really seen the appeal of Dolly Parton, so maybe it was that. But yeah, Post Malone is at number 3, which means we have the top 2 left. So, coming in at a close second place, after a lot of checking to make sure this album did indeed come out this year, is Imminence with their album The Black. This album, I could hear it in its entirety and enjoy it. I could hear one single off of it and enjoy it. I could have it pop up randomly in a shuffled mixtape and I'll know like roughly what I'm getting. Apologies, didn't mean to cough there. It's just a masterfully crafted album. Similar with most of these, honestly. Like, Imminence know their shit. The vocalist is really good. The instrumentation is great. Like, the use of orchestral stuff in some of the songs to give it this more grandiose, sweeping feel. Like, it really almost sounds as if it could be the soundtrack to a movie, with some of the like elements of it that make it feel just so larger than fucking life. It is a very, very well put together album. Like I said, even down to like the song organization on the album and the track like listing, everything is thought out and it feels like it has its right place in the narrative of the album. And I've listened to it so many times this year since it came out. Like, it just deserved a spot on this. This is one of the ones that I knew was going to make the top 5 no matter what, and is probably the only one that hasn't been pushed out at some point whilst making this list. And yeah, it's a strong album from the year. which leads us to our final album. Album number 1, my favourite album that dropped this year, and that is... I'm just going to make you wait whilst I have a sip of my drink. Okay, that's enough teasing. It is Awaken Providence with their album I Write to You, My Darling Decay. Now, this album is a doozy. It, like, if any of you know Awaken Providence, you know they're one of these bands that kind of like go big or go home. But when you have that sort of go big or go home mentality to creating an album, but then you have like such a strong emotion behind the album, it really helps make it stand out. Like I said, so depending on where you look, people are calling it black metal, symphonic grandeur, and, you know, deathcore brutality all colliding into one. But it is just such a well put out, well thought through album. And when you look at the songs, like some of them, like Mournful Benediction, that one was fantastic. Agony My Familiar, again, another really good track. Apologies. Like, every single track on this album feels like it fits, feels like it works really well. And there's, 10 tracks on it? And it was released in July of 2020, July 26th of 2024. We'll get there eventually. But I highly recommend looking into this album. Like I said, there's even a feature on Mournful Benediction of one and only Ben Dwyer as well, which is always fun to see. I was trying to see, because I know there was a story behind why they wrote this album, but I can't find what I was looking for. Just give me 2 seconds. Yes, here we go. I knew it was something about this. Fucking Reddit. No, I don't want your app, god damn it. Yeah, so the little bit that I had found here says that the vocalist lost his sister earlier this year and the album was an ode to her. And someone says, this is someone else's comment, and they were like, this shit goes deeper than just a traditional deathcore release. And I would have to agree with that. This album was fucking phenomenal. Like I said, you can tell that there's so much soul and like emotion that has gone into creating this album. And it's not just an album, it is a vessel for somebody's emotions and feelings, and it really shines through and comes through with that. But yeah, there you go. Awaken Providence, I Write to You, My Darling Decay, is my personal album of the year for 2024. So with that being said, I will see you in the next video, which we have coming up. And that is going to be an album review, which I do need to get to work on. But I am quickly going to be filming 2 other videos right now, which is a secret video and the end of year best ofs EP, and then I'm gonna have to work on the other 2 because I've got like a week for the album review, and then we've got the 6-song roundup on the 27th. So I want to get the shorter, easier videos done, get them pre-listed, and then I can work on the ones that actually need some scripting. So with that being said, I'll see you in the next video, and remember to stay safe out there, my friends, and I hope you all have a good holidays. Goodbye.